Ladies and gentlemen, the poor state of the working people, the workers of Uganda, the conditions under which they work, are it's the very reason why I speak to you at this moment in time. And over the past, I've been talking about the systems through which workers' working terms and conditions of service can be improved, and why it has been exceedingly very difficult for the workers to realize full enjoyment of their rights, largely because of the systems that we use to deliver the justice that we would want the workers to have. Trade unions in Uganda are institutions that, as I've already explained, have been given the mandate to help advance this cause. But the conduct of trade union leaders themselves have largely contributed to denial of the rights of the working people in Uganda. And I've tried to point out a number of issues why trade unions have not been able to deliver to the workers of Uganda to the level that is required. And today I would want to talk about the aspect of ethical conduct. In the way the trade unions have worked for the years have existed. In fact, this is an area we have scored so badly when it comes to the way in which we relate with one another. When it comes to the way in which trade unions work with one another to help workers enjoy the justice that they seek. While we do demand that we should be treated fairly, while we do demand that the employers, wherever they are, should be able to respect the rights of the working people, as spearheaded by ourselves, we should not forget to recognize the fact that we ourselves must be very fair in the way we treat one another. We should not forget that we have got a duty that as people who speak for the rights of the working people, we ourselves must be able to treat one another with a lot of respect, to observe discipline, to observe a certain code of conduct that will enable us to function together as a team to be able to deliver the rights of the working people in the way they must be able to enjoy them. I have read and I indeed observed that there are two institutions in the world that have really demonstrated that they are really powerful. Two institutions in the world have really demonstrated that they are powerful. Like indeed it has been said, it has been observed that the church, for example, or faith-based organizations are among the most powerful institutions in the world. And the second one is the army. The army is known to be a very powerful institution in the world. And that's why you find in many cases the army watches from a distance while civilians or people who are not necessarily serving therein are conducting business. They only come in extreme circumstances when we have really failed to manage affairs adequately well. But one of the things that makes the army to become very powerful is the aspect of discipline. And one of the things that will make the church or any other faith-based organization to become very powerful is the aspect of discipline. The faithful people in the church or in the mosque or whatever faith one professes, the faithful people normally observe a lot of discipline while they are conducting whatever business they are trying to do. The army, you cannot serve in the army if you are not a disciplined officer or if you are not a disciplined person. And this in itself, of course, there are so many other factors that bring about that strength. But one of the things I'm trying to observe here is the aspect of discipline. Discipline is very fundamental to building of strength. Strength required for us to be able to advance a right. we would be able to draw lessons from these two institutions that are known globally for being the strongest institutions around the world. Anywhere in the world, those two are really very strong. And I would want to think that trade union is the way we have functioned. We should be able to function in a manner that really enhances discipline. Look at the manner in which we relate with each other. We who are advocates of the rights of the working people, see the way we relate with one another. See the way we conduct our businesses. How do we expect us even to have the moral authority to stand up very strongly, to start claiming that employers are mistreating the workers, when we ourselves, every time you have a little bit of ability to do something, you are so indisciplined. We act in a manner that does not depict any slightest form of respect. And then we want to stand up and say, in the way we are conducting ourselves, we can be able to advance a cause of fighting for the rights of the working people. Really, is that possible? Isn't it only reasonable that we conduct ourselves in a manner that will keep ourselves together? Isn't it only fair that we remain focused on what we stand for? How are we going to remain focused if we are not going to be able to observe discipline? And every time you speak about discipline, people become so wild. They want to start reasoning that, no, for us, this is how we have behaved over the years. But don't want to recognize that the behavior is responsible for the failure that we have been swimming in for a very long time. It is therefore very important that we now come to a point where, if we really want to serve the workers very effectively, that we observe discipline. It is only the labor movement today, actually for the years I've been around the trade union movement. Trade union leaders have a lot of conflicts against each other. They have a lot of grievances against each other. Yet there does not exist any mechanism of effectively resolving those grievances. As a result of which people have resolved to building hatred. They have developed certain bitterness. They have harbored bitterness for ages. You find the people who are supposed to be working together, they can't work together because they have harbored bitterness and hatred against each other for a very long time. Now, these are people who are supposed to work together to advance a cause. We belong to the same organ. We are coming together to plan on how to deal with the problems of injustice against workers, but yet we ourselves cannot be able to recognize and say, let us work together genuinely. Everybody is working to undermine the other. Everybody is working to make sure they pull down the other. Everybody is formulating and fabricating stories, most of which actually are wrong. But you are advancing a narrative against a colleague with whom you are supposed to work with, when you know that this narrative I'm making is not right. They have baptized this, they have baptized it a chemical. I'm formulating a chemical. I've formulated something that I'm going to unleash among the people so that I can blackmail so and so. Yeah? And when a person is blackmailed, he's made to appear unworthy to provide leadership. Then for you who is blackmailing, you are now being seen as the best person around who can offer leadership. This is how trade unions have functioned in Uganda for decades, by the way. And the people who have even studied the way trade unions have functioned, like if you look at studies conducted by Professor Barrier. Professor Barrier has pointed out that historically one of the major problems trade unions have had over the years is intrigue. Intrigue against each other. They really work in a manner that's so treacherous, in a manner that is so manipulative, in a manner that is really not constructive. And these are the people who are supposed to act as agents of change. People who must bring about progress in helping the workers move forward. Yet they themselves cannot be able to work together. You originate and fabricate a story that you know is not right, and this story you use it to blackmail a colleague with whom you are supposed to work so that you can be able to bring about change. This is a practice that I have lived to see. And we do not have a mechanism through which these grievances can be addressed. So people continue moving on with these methods of work. And for decades, this is how has been the situation. A person misbehaved, cannot be called to come and be able to appear before a committee so that he can explain the misbehavior or the alleged misbehavior. As a result of which people cannot work together. Even smaller groups of people cannot work together. I have seen every time we conduct an election, in a trade union or even at a center level, immediately you conduct an election, differences begin. We start having splinter groups. Meetings are called. People first of all meet at the site, formulate opinions, positions. So when they come in meetings, they're not coming to discuss issues objectively. They are coming to advance positions, which positions are framed against each other to make sure they defeat each other, not to solve the problem so that they can move together, so that they can help the workers. But they come with these positions formed to be able to fight each other. And these are the people who are now presenting themselves as agents of change. Trade union leaders, this is nonsense. This cannot be able to take you anywhere. You cannot be able to seek progress in society by fighting the other. Moreover, for no cause. If you genuinely have got what you want to do to help the workers, why do you want to create an environment which is toxic? You create an environment which is toxic, people can't work together. They cannot even now call you to order to be able to come forward and be able to ensure that you deliver. You create divide and rule and escape. The entire period you have been elected, you can't deliver anything because you have successfully created wars amongst the people. They are fighting each other. They hate each other so much that they cannot sit together and discuss something tangible. So anybody who has come into office, people come into office, they don't function as leaders. They come into office, everybody wants simply to control. They don't look at service delivery. Whoever comes in office, they don't look at, people don't look at service delivery. I would want, for example, to look at the politics of the